To all of you saying goodbye to Carey McDonald, our hearts are with you, especially the family, Dale McDonald and the McDonald family. Carey was such a force in this community for so long. I had to stop and think about how old Carey was because even though he's been around a long time, I thought, well, he can't be that old. And yes, he was 95. God bless him. He had a long run. But if you knew Carey McDonald, he spent that 95 years quite well. He spent it by doing things for other people. He was well traveled. He went around the country preaching the gospel of high school sports. He, of course, was very well connected in those organizations. Former basketball coach at Ocala High School. That's where I first met him. He started in '58, and then I was home from college as a Cub reporter at the Ocala Star-Banner when Carey was the coach, and we covered some of his games, got to know Carey, loved his basketball. I'll tell you what else he did. He went to more Final Fours than anybody I've ever known. He started by getting a trip from the Boosters Club at Ocala High School for a job well done. And he went that first year, and I have to look up the year, but I know that he went that first year and had such a good time that he went out every year after that. And as I recall, he went to multiple, and I used to have him on the show. So today, I think of Carey as a father and a husband, and as a coach, as a mentor, a teacher, a Marion County Ocalan. Knew him pretty well, and I just want to say that that I have a saying in this community when we lose somebody like that with deep roots. I call them giant oaks because in destruction like hurricanes, we lose people, we lose houses, and we lose giant oaks. Obviously, people is the number one concern. But you can rebuild a house, but you cannot build or rebuild or replace an original giant oak, our city of trees. And so when you lose someone like Carey McDonald, it's a big hole, and you can't replace him. So we lost a giant oak. I was thinking about how I could describe Carey. Carey was involved in so many organizations. As many of you know, he was National High School Athletic Directors Association president in 1966 and 67. He was also the executive director named in 1973. He was big in the formation of the Florida Athletic Coaches Association. In fact, for a while, he was doing both jobs. And it is said that in the obituary that those two jobs took him more than 60,000 miles a year. Now, occasionally I would see him up in New York City when I worked there. He'd come by, or we'd go to a coach's meeting, or we'd go to a Hall of Fame meeting, and Carey would be there. He traveled among big-name people. He knew a lot of good-name people in sports, but he always brought it back to home in Ocala. He was such a big proponent of the Ocala Quarterback Club and the things he did there. As we believe over 40 years, I checked this morning with a couple of friends of mine, Wes Wheeler and Mike McGinnis, to see, and they weren't really sure. They think he was program chairman for over 40 years. He did jobs well. He did them for a long time, and that was his service to our community, which will always be grateful. I'll never forget the night last year at the Ocala Quarterback Club when Carey came to the meeting with his son Dale, who's the mayor of Maitland, and ostensibly came because he had some money he had gotten from the dissolution of one of the organizations he belonged to, and he had to give that money away to people. And he brought a check to the Ocala Quarterback Club. Now, I won't lie to you, it was a struggle for Carey, who was not in his best mental position of his best mental capabilities at that point in time, but he did beautifully. He was so welcome. It was such a warm night. He and Dale sat at the front table, and he brought the check, which we put in the treasury. And now I know that the board is looking into what they can do with it in some form of scholarship. So that was Carey McDonald, loyal to the end. The words I thought of when I thought about Carey McDonald, I don't know why, as a writer. I come up with them. One of them was I can't even say it. Indefatigable. It means a person persisting tirelessly. Indefatigable. That was Carey. He was always doing something. He was tireless. The second I thought about was peripatetic. That means traveling from place to place, in particular working or based in various places for relatively short periods. And he was that. Again, he went to all those Final Fours, and actually he went to 57 consecutive Final Fours. 57 consecutive Final Fours. Think he liked basketball? He would come back and tell us about them. And also, big fan of the Masters, where he was able to go to the Masters for 25 consecutive years. So he had a life well lived. He did a terrific job, and I'm sure he got a greeting when he got up to heaven, and he got the greeting of, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Thank you, God bless you, and R.I.P. to Carey McDonald.